I like to do when I'm talking with any VCs, or if I'm talking to like hedge fund managers or talking to any like major corporates, I'll normally point them in the direction of tap tools and say, like, hey, go take a look at like the total market cap, and you'll see right beside the name of these projects what they're doing. You do that on some of the other chains, and it's like meme coin, meme coin, meme coin, meme coin, all the way down. Uh, Whereas for us, it's like immediately, it's like deep end infrastructure, AI. There's a whole lot of like real businesses being built here. Well, a bit of background for myself. Yeah. So, uh, like this is kind of like the dream job. A lot of things are kind of coming together, and I'm having a blast with it. But yeah, like I started my professional career out of university in Hong Kong back in 2013. It was a Canadian diplomat there. It's kind of like the first job I had out of university, because that's what I had studied and what I'd done research in. And I happened to be basically the twilight years of the best of Hong Kong. And so I was able to rub shoulders with some super just giga chad, huge brains guys like Ben Gertzel, David Hansen, obviously, and then Vitalik. The amount of people coming through that city was just ridiculous. And so it was like it's a fairly small world there as well, but it was lovely. So got to meet Vitalik. He pitched me on, imagine Bitcoin, but just with smart contracts. I'm like, what is a smart contract? And like went through some various like use cases for what could be done. And yeah, had like a test run in some of the early nodes of what later became like mainnet Ethereum. Yeah, it was just incredible. Hung out, like I was saying, with like David Hansen and Ben Gertzel, because they had a whole longevity lab there. They had a robotics lab. I would go like hiking, and yeah, Ben would kind of go off on all kinds of different ways to extend your life. And so it was very interesting to kind of now look back more than 10 years later and see how things have evolved, and where we've gone from there.
Who's interested? Like, who's interested in real world adoption, like really taking this and doing business with it?
Well, so there are actually quite a lot of companies. And so this is like a funny thing that I see right now, where there is like actually huge disconnect between kind of like your regular consumers, like your mom and your pops, just like your regular retail buyers, and then kind of like major corporate entities, and certainly like a lot of like traditional finance. So it's funny that traditional finance is a little bit sneaky about it, but they are very much involved in crypto. And even some of these major companies, they're looking ahead 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There's an understanding that like blockchain is going to play an undeniable role in their business model. And they're still trying to figure out how it's going to fit, what's going to be like the right kind of setup, and this and that. And so a lot of them are hedging their bets. They don't want to kind of go in all on one or another thing. So if you ever see any chain talking about like, oh yes, we've locked in this exclusive like lifetime partnership with Disney, there's a good chance it's a whole kind of bullshit, if I'm being honest with you. Because everybody, they're just trying to do some fishing. They're grabbing some information. They're kind of getting an assessment of how this tech is going to be deployed, and how it will evolve in the future. But one thing that is very interesting that we see quite a bit right now, at least like from kind of the Emergo side and Cardano, is that there's an enormous strength in Cardano. The fact that we've been battle tested for 7 years, no shutdowns, no outages, incredibly decentralized. These are things that are actually quite strong. These are our kind of leading marketing kind of pitches, and it actually finds a very welcome audience with traditional finance. There's a lot of people in London, New York, Tokyo, who are very keen on knowing that this is a system that can't be hacked. There's no back doors. There's nothing shady here. It's all very legit. And so this is like perhaps something they could build on. And even knowing that, all right, it's kind of moved a little bit away from it now, but having like Haskell previously kind of like be like the core of the coding. Not everybody can do it, but it is the code you'd want to write in if you want to send a rocket ship to Mars. Right. And so it's the stuff that works. It's the serious thing. And so there actually are some serious people who are taking a serious look at Cardano, and it's actually quite heartwarming. So I think we're going to be quite set, but it is a bit of it's a long-term game. A lot of these guys don't go and throw their billions around willy-nilly. And so, but it'll get there. I'm actually incredibly optimistic. So,
right. So how do you do that? How do you get the sentiment of the ecosystem on your side so that you can go out and do business development in the big, like the adult world, and actually get traction? How do you do that?
Well, it's a thing you're going to always have to be rejigging, because there's never a point where it's like, oh, we're locked in, we're good to go, right? It's a nice little package ready for market. Um, because like, the community is always changing. There's always like sentiment shifts, right? Like consumers are changing what they would like to see, right? And businesses, right? Like, do you really want speed? Because I know like there's particular blockchains that are all about speed, speed, speed. But as you were saying earlier, uh, you don't want to have 70% kind of failures. So trying to kind of package it all up, you got to get comfortable with the idea that you're not going to be able to hit every note with everybody all the time. You just got to know your target audience. And so, like, interestingly enough, we're maybe not the best casino out there, right? If you're just talking about like blockchain use cases, yeah, there's casinos. There are certain blockchains that are more casino than others. We're maybe not the best at that. And perhaps that's all right. So we just kind of know that if we're going to go somewhere, we're maybe not going to put that foot forward. We can certainly do some of that stuff, but there's more going on, right? And this is one of the things that I like to do when I'm talking with any VCs, or if I'm talking to like hedge fund managers, or talking to any like major corporates. I'll normally point them in the direction of tap tools and say, like, hey, go take a look at like the total market cap, and you'll see right beside the name of these projects what they're doing. You do that on some of the other chains, and it's like meme coin, meme coin, meme coin, meme coin, all the way down. Uh, Whereas for us, it's like immediately, it's like deep end infrastructure, AI. There's a whole lot of like real businesses being built here, and it's quite intriguing. Some of the stuff will take time, right? It's not going to be like rolled out tomorrow, because these are like, it's work in progress. It's quite ambitious, but yeah, you just got to like know your audience and be comfortable with saying to some of the bros, like, actually, nah, bro, this is not the best casino for you.
And I really want to know what's next for Sheldon Hunt and Emergo.
What's next? Well, it's a huge one. Well, for myself, the journey continues. So I still do not have a home. I'm always on the road, and so I
He's
will
in
be.
the forest today, staying in a tent. As you
Yeah.
folks can see.
So
Yeah, yeah, that forest behind you is beautiful. I just hope it stops raining soon.
I hope so as well. Yeah, it was really nice yesterday, but today not so nice. But yeah, here in Canada for the week, London next week, Hong Kong after that, Singapore after that. So there's conferences, there's events, there's all kinds of these various meetings. So there's a lot to do to kind of wave the flag at Cardano. We've got a bit of catching up to do, and so I'm very keen to get out there and start knocking on some doors.